In a quarterly earnings call last week, Six Flags CFO Gary Mick gave verbal confirmation that Six Flags Great Adventure would be receiving a new roller coaster in 2024.
We have a 50th anniversary coming up at our park in New Jersey, and we had an opportunity to add a nice ride kind of late in the game, and that's a little bit rare because it takes generally a while to design and build a coaster. So we had a fortunate opportunity, and we decided to take it.
And then on August 12th, Six Flags Great Adventure dropped their 5th hint about their new upcoming attraction in the form of numbers and addition. While the numbers seemed all over the place, it became apparent that the numbers actually align with the all-new Super Boomerang coaster, which is a new ride model produced by Dutch manufacturer Vekoma. The number 4 represents the 4 inversions found on a Super Boomerang. 50 could be the approximate height of the Super Boomerang in meters, which is actually 52.5 meters. But I'd reason the 50 represents the park's 50th anniversary in 2024. 48 is the height requirement of the coaster in inches. 15 represents that this is the 15th coaster being added to Great Adventure, or that the park has 15 defunct coasters, which is kind of insane, but probably that it's the 15th coaster in operation at the park. 24 represents that this will be a new for 2024 coaster, or even that the Super Boomerang seats 24 riders per train. 10 represents the 10 airtime moments Vekoma advertises on the Super Boomerang, and 436 is the exact length of the Super Boomerang in meters. Now, the reason the park may have selected this coaster model is based off the very words used in the quarterly earnings call. Six Flags had a fortunate opportunity to add a nice ride late in the game, which is rare because it takes a while to design and build a coaster. This most likely means that the park purchased what you can call a pre-designed or off-the-shelf coaster model. So something not necessarily custom and unique, but a pre-existing package that is meant to be sold as is. So that's another indicator it could be a Vekoma Super Boomerang, which is an off-the-shelf model. And then the number 436 from the park's hint just seems like such a specific number that matches the length of the coaster perfectly. So we can probably add Great Adventure to the long list of parks in the United States receiving a Vekoma Boomerang coaster in 2024. Although this is the only large-scale version, as the others are all family models. Up until now, the rumors were that the park would be adding a multi-launching roller coaster from Intamin for the 50th anniversary. But unless the park purchased an off-the-shelf model from Intamin, that might not make any sense, as Six Flags made it clear that they went about purchasing Great Adventure's new coaster quite late in the game. As far as where the ride will be placed, the rumor has been near the park's front entrance, even traveling over it. The park themselves have even been teasing that, and from what I'm hearing, the Vekoma Super Boomerang will be located near the park's front entrance but will not travel over it like many were hoping for. Many of the survey markings for the coaster are located near the park's catering pavilions as well as near Cyborg Cyberspin, and from what I've heard, the ride will more so travel next to the main entrance area but not over it. Placing the coaster so that it does not travel over the park's main entrance is probably in Great Adventure's best interest, as the state of New Jersey is very strict on loose articles falling from riders on coasters and injuring bystanders below, with the park's main entrance being a highly trafficked area where all guests enter the park. Not placing the coaster above the park's front entrance would save the park a lot of trouble. We all saw what happened with King Naka and Zumanjaro, and it took the park years to get them to be able to operate simultaneously. Vekoma states that their Super Boomerang requires a space 163 meters long by 13 meters wide. Using Google Earth, you're actually able to plop that required space starting behind Cyborg and stretching into the picnic area of the catering pavilions no problem. And notice how the length of the coaster runs perfectly alongside the park's front entrance. It also makes it possible to not need to remove Cyborg Cyberspin, which was something I initially thought would be necessary. Now, will the park still remove Cyborg Cyberspin? It's hard to say. I hear a lot of money has gone into the attraction recently to improve its reliability, and the park may want to hang on to it. Unlike Six Flags Over Texas, who permanently closed their clone of the ride known as Harley Quinn Spinsanity earlier this year. If Cyborg Cyberspin does remain, I'd guess that the Boomerang will be oriented so the ride station is on the end of the coaster closer to the catering pavilions further away from Cyborg. This could allow for more room for the new coaster station building without interfering with Cyborg. as well as make the ride's first inversion stand prominently over the initial entrance plaza into the park. This would place the coaster's steep twisted drop at the other end of the ride, right behind Cyborg and along the pathway into the Metropolis area of the park. But based on Cloud Shuttle at Phanta Wild Wonderland in China, which is the only operating Vekoma Super Boomerang, that ride does have a very narrow station, so perhaps the coaster could still be oriented with its station building behind Cyborg instead. But I am honestly hoping that Great Adventure Super Boomerang is slightly different, mainly for capacity. The Vekoma Super Boomerang is only capable of running one train, at least currently. Vekoma advertises that the Super Boomerang is capable of a theoretical 800 riders per hour with its single 24-passenger train. That means just over 33 dispatches an hour, so we'll go with 33 dispatches for now, at an average interval time of just over 109 seconds. Based off the POV of Cloud Shuttle, the coaster takes roughly 76 seconds to cycle the track, and that is based off the time from when the floors in the station next to the train drop to when the floors raise back into position following the cycle. 109 seconds minus 76 seconds leaves only 33 seconds to unload and load the train, which will most likely be nearly impossible even with a very well-staffed, well-trained, and enthusiastic ride crew. I'd expect a 50-second load cycle to be the true minimum with an A-team ride crew, and closer to 60 seconds with most ride crews. Combined with the ride's 76-second cycle time, 50 seconds in the station equates to a 126-second interval time. That's roughly 28 trains dispatched an hour, which yields a theoretical 672 riders per hour. And with 60 seconds in the station, that is a 136-second interval time, which is roughly 26 trains dispatched per hour, yielding a theoretical 624 riders per hour. With this coaster being placed prominently over the park's front entrance, it is going to garner a lot of attention. Guests are going to see it right away and want to ride it, just like with Superman Ultimate Flight, which stands prominently at the front of the parking lot. I honestly do not think the Super Boomerang has good enough capacity for Great Adventure. Now, an argument can be made with Joker, an SNS 4D free spin coaster that opened at Great Adventure in 2016. It only features a theoretical capacity of 720 riders per hour and is located nearby the park's front entrance. But coasters with low capacity should not become the new benchmark, especially for parks like Great Adventure who can attract large crowds. Now, boomerang coasters, or shuttle coasters as they are also known, where trains travel forward through the layout and then backwards through it, aren't technically a new concept at Great Adventure. The park's first shuttle coaster was Lightning Loops, an Aero-launched shuttle loop coaster that operated at the park from 1978 to 1992. The park's second shuttle coaster was Batman and Robin the Chiller, a premier ride shuttle loop coaster powered by linear induction motors, or LIMs. The Chiller had a short run at the park and only operated from 1998 to 2007. Interestingly, all of the park shuttle coasters were located in about the same area as where the Vekoma Super Boomerang is rumored to be placed. Lightning Loops was located where Batman the Ride is today, and the Chiller was located across the midway from where the Super Boomerang will be placed, in the space primarily taken by Justice League today. But the major difference with the park's prior shuttle coasters is that there were always two tracks, which doubled each attraction's overall capacity. From what I understand, the Super Boomerang would be the first Great Adventure shuttle coaster to only feature one track, unless the park went crazy and bought two of them, but I highly doubt it. From a capacity standpoint, I think it is in the park's best interest to work with Vekoma to develop a Super Boomerang that can operate two trains, whether that be through a turntable system placed in the coaster's station building, similar to the Mach Ride's Power Splash coasters, where trains are rotated away from the main ride circuit into the station, while the other train is rotated into the main circuit. This would be nice as it means the park only has to staff one station platform with park employees. Another option would be the use of sliding station platforms like on the two Mr. Freeze coasters built by Premier Rides, which also allow for two train operations on a shuttle coaster. While one train is positioned into the main circuit, another is positioned in its unload and load position. I'd also wager that the use of two train operations on the Super Boomerang would not really boost the coaster's theoretical capacity by much, but all methods would guarantee an actual operational capacity that is much closer to the advertised theoretical capacity. This would make it much easier to operate the coaster at or even above 800 riders per hour, which is a drastic improvement than what I'd expect the coaster to operate at with just one train. You could even make the joke that the park's addition tees, which adds up to 587, would be the actual operational capacity of the Boomerang coaster with just one train. Now, time will tell whether the coaster operates with just one or hopefully two trains, but I am betting that the coaster will operate with just one, which is a shame. In the last decade or so, new roller coasters seem to offer a far lower capacity than roller coasters of the past, and I think that's a shame. Low rider capacity means longer, slower moving lines. Less guests are able to ride that coaster a day, and it leads to a lower guest satisfaction rate. I'm not a fan of it at all. But disregarding capacity for a bit, what is nice is the Vekoma Super Boomerang coaster looks like a lot of fun. While it's probably not the most thrilling coaster, and I'd guess that El Toro or Kingda Ka will be a lot more intense, the layout looks very unique, and it will give Great Adventure both a multi-launch and shuttle coaster, which are two coaster types the park is missing, combined into one layout. This will also be the first large-scale and thrilling coaster from Vekoma since the company has reinvented their roller coaster engineering. I love the first inversion, which is like a half vertical loop that leads into this long drawn-out zero-G stall. The double up will probably offer good airtime, and the snappy curving drop looks great. The zero-G roll into the vertical spike is very reminiscent of the original experience found on Batman and Robin the Chiller, which is a nice touch, even if it will probably be a lot less intense than that same maneuver on the Chiller. And then repeating the layout backwards is just icing on the cake. I haven't heard of any reviews of Cloud Shuttle, but I'm hoping the coaster is a bit more intense than it looks. But even if it's not very intense, the ride should make for a good all-around coaster for all sorts of audiences, especially with its 48-inch height requirement. And with the coaster being located in the park's metropolis area alongside Cyborg, Justice League, and Wonder Woman, I'd expect the coaster to have some sort of DC Comics theme as well, which I'm honestly not a fan of at all, but I get it. Great Adventure is running out of superheroes, so maybe the coaster will be themed to the Flash or some other DC Comics villain related to the Justice League. It would honestly be pretty cool if they themed the Great Adventure shuttle coaster to Mr. Freeze, but time will tell. So that will do it on my analysis and speculation on what Great Adventure could be adding in 2024. It really does seem like a Vekoma Super Boomerang coaster is what fits the bill, and Great Adventure may very well be opening the first of this coaster model in the United States. And who knows, maybe that rumored Intamin coaster, which is supposedly much larger than the Super Boomerang, is still coming in 2025. Comment down below what you think of this potential addition, and be sure to like the video and subscribe, as your support helps the channel immensely. Thanks for watching everyone, and let's get ready for the park's official announcement, which should be around Labor Day.